Okay, good evening, everybody. It is 7 p.m. in NYC and 1 a.m. in the beautiful Provence region of France. I'm Sam Kimball from Crush Wine Experiences, formerly New York Wine Events. Thank you so much for joining us on virtual day trip to wine country presented by Citi. We are here for an awesome visit to a very iconic Provence Rosé producer based in France, obviously, and brought to our shores here in the US. When we planned this virtual tasting and online event, we thought, hey, spring is starting and spring is rosé time. What better time than now to discover your new favorite rosé just in time for the summer of 2022? And so we'll be doing a tasting this evening with the Provence Rosé Group, the owner of two great rosé-focused wineries in Provence, France, Chateau de Berne and Ultimate Provence. And now we have two special guests with us who will give us a lot of insights and information about the region, about the wines, but also very much just sort of the essence of Provence, which is quite a magical place in France. And here's what I can tell you. Provence is a region in southeastern France. It's bordering Italy and the Mediterranean Sea. It's got a wonderful climate. It's known for very diverse landscapes, from everything from the southern Alps and mountains to the coastal plains to rolling vineyards, also olive groves, pine forests, and lavender fields. And actually, we have to take a look here. First, I'm going to show you on the map where we're headed, but I've got to show you some amazing photography. There's just such beauty in this region of France. But first, let me pull up the map of where we're headed, because you'll get a sense of perspective of where in France we are headed. So bear with me 1 second, and I will show you. So on the map in Europe, kind of the wide shot is behind me, and you can see Spain and France and sort of a little bit of Italy, and there on that red map pin is where Chateau de Berne is. That's one of the places we're going. And then, of course, you know, when you think of Provence, you think of these absolutely beautiful vistas of the lavender in the fields. So check this out in my background. This is not CGI. This is not computer generated imagery. This is a real photograph from Provence. So it's an absolutely stunning region in terms of its beauty. And you know, the other thing that's really neat is we're going to be going to a place that has a chateau. The winery itself is this in my background here. It's also, you'll hear more about this, it's also an inn and spa and a place where you can stay and vacation. Absolutely gorgeous. And if you see, here's another image of it. This is up close. So this is where we're going. This is where the wine is made. Quite magical. And we've got two amazing guests who will tell us a lot about what goes on there. And I want to encourage everybody to hit the chat, if you would, right now, and let us know where you are tuning in from. Bonsoir from Durham, North Carolina. Welcome, Phyllis. And bonsoir, Victor, one of our guest speakers. And Sid, good evening. Good to see you. Yes, I agree. A topical region with quality wines. And you're all the way out there in Vancouver, and we got people logging in from Florida, California, Maureen, Susan. Wow, great group tonight. Nebraska, we love Nebraska. Anyway, so it's great to see everybody. Spokane, Washington, Las Vegas, and Long Island. Hey, Nancy. So thank you guys for tuning in. It's great to see everyone. And we're really excited about tonight's presentation and visit with two very esteemed folks from the wine industry. Great to see you guys join us. That lavender is a typical shot And the other thing about Provence is that the wine, it's unofficially the rosé capital of the world. So perfect spot for us to discover our favorite rosé for the summer of 2022. And real quick, we did take a look at Chateau de Berne. That's the chateau where the one of the winery production areas. And we'll also take a look at Ultimate Provence as well later. I would like to tell you, if you're interested in Provence Rosé Group, which has an operation here in the States, you can find out more about these wines at provencerosé.com. I'm going to put that URL into the chat box here for everyone to see. So if you're curious about the rosé, about the wine, about the destination, the chateau, you can find out about it there. So without further ado, I want to welcome our two esteemed guests to the program. We have with us Bob Gaudreau, the CEO of Provence Rosé Group, and Victor Labelle, the operations director. Welcome, gentlemen. It's great to have you guys on the show. Make sure you unmute and greet the crowd.
All right. Well, thank you for having us, Sam, first of all. And my name's Bob Gaudreau, and I run Provence Rosé Group here in America and also globally. And it is great to be with you guys tonight. And it was exciting to see people here from all over America. That's really neat. And we've got a great wine lineup to go through. And Victor, why don't you introduce yourself and tell them a little about your background, because it's quite interesting how you got here.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks, Sam. So hi, everybody. So my name is Victor, and as you can see or hear, I have some sort of strong accent. So I guess it's probably coming because I'm French. So if you guys don't understand anything about what I'm saying, that's fine. I guess this is recording, so we'll probably be able to look at it again, but feel free also to ask some question on the chat. We are here to help. So my name is Victor. I come from France, as I said. I grew up in Champagne, and then in fact I decided to move to Provence. So I spent probably 5 years working with the winery, with the winemaker in Provence. And after that, I decided, in fact, to move to New York. And that was now, 5 years ago, almost. So coming to New York, helping, to develop the brand, working with Bob, opening state after states. And now, I'm trying to make sure people know the brand, liquid on lips, and talk about great rosé. So I'm looking forward for tonight. We have 4 beautiful rosé to go through, with each of them some sort of uniqueness, and we will explain all of this. So thank you again for joining us, and let's have some fun.
Excellent. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I want to start off, Bob, with you. Tell us a little bit about these two wineries. Are Provence Rosé Group is connected to, is the same, one and the same with the wineries. What is the distinctive feature or the thing that sets these wineries apart from other Provence producers of rosé, and just in general, why are these wineries special?
I think there's a number of reasons. So as you alluded to, Provence Rosé Group is an importer. We import the wines from France, but we are a wholly owned subsidiary of the parent company that owns these estates over in France. I think what sets our rosés apart is a number of things. The first thing is quality. Every single product we bring in, Provence is the capital of rosé. There's no debate about that. Champagne is the capital of sparkling wine, and Provence is the capital of rosé. So they're absolutely high quality. They're made by a winemaker, Alexis Cornu. 2 of the wines, one of which we'll taste in a moment, already have 90-point ratings this year. So quality is probably first and foremost. The second thing you'll see with all the wines and bottles we'll introduce is they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. Once you finish the wine, you're not going to want to throw the bottle away. And I've been with a winemaker on a couple occasions when a journalist will ask, why do you spend so much time and effort on the package? And his answer is quite nice. He says the first sip is with your eyes. And I think with Rosé, the first sip is with your eyes. And having an attractive package, I would say our Rosés are certainly amongst the most attractive. The third thing, which is important for people at home and the trade, is because we are vertically integrated, because we are owned by the supplier, our supply chain is robust. Now more than ever, logistics and supply chains are broken. They're broken between Europe and America. They're broken here in America. Provence Rosé Group, as an importer, has lots of containers coming over. We distribute in most of the 50 states, and we make sure we always get preferential treatment from the supplier so that we always have wine here for thirsty people to drink. So without further ado, I'll be quiet so we can get on with the wine, Sam.
Well, you know what? Let's mix things up, Bob and Victor, and let's taste one of the wines straight away. I think we talked about, doing kind of a preview taste with the Emotion, which is from Ultimate Provence. So tell us a little bit, and that's the bottle you have in front of you. That's the one with the stripe?
That's right. That's this one right here. And I'm going to give myself a little.
What is this? What makes up this wine? What grapes go into it? And what is the distinctive characteristic about it?
Sure. So as we said, let's start with Emotion. So Emotion, how we came up with this rosé was in fact a decision from the winemaker. As Sam and Bob they were mentioning, we own 4 estates in Provence. They all have their own identity. They own, have the best, probably Grenache for some of them, Cinsault for some of them. So the winemaker decided that, okay, let's try to make the winemaker choice, which in fact, Emotion, it's a blend of the 4 estates we own. So for example, Grenache, it's one of the main grapes and the best grapes we can find on Chateau de Berne, the estate just behind me. Then we have some Syrah, called Shiraz as well, if you guys know, on Ultimate Provence, second estate we own. And then we have a third and a fourth estate with some, nice Cinsault and a bit of Merlot as well. So Emotion is in fact this blend of the 4 estates to make it unique. So that's what we call in fact the winemaker choice. Regarding the blend, as I was mentioning, it's a blend of 4 different grapes. It will be mainly Grenache, Cinsault, and Syrah. But you find also a tiny bit of Merlot, which is interesting. The first 3 grapes I told you were like really the main grapes of Provence, but Merlot is not that well known in Provence. Merlot is quite well known for Bordeaux wine. So it brings a bit of, on the wine, this nice fruitness on the palate, a nice color, a nice pinky touch. So you get kind of a well-balanced wine with all these, grapes from each of the estates. Regarding the packaging, it's funny because in fact it's inspired by the actual Provençal bottle. So I don't know if you know, but the bottle in Provence, winemaker used to use, in fact, like some sort of corset flute bottle, and we try to modernize a bit this bottle by having like a kind of more elegant shape and to get this nice white stripes around it.
Oops. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. So tell us a little bit, let's talk about Provence as a region, Victor. And I'm going to put up a slide that kind of illustrates a bit. But you lived there and you made wine at the production facility, at the winery. Provence makes 150 million bottles of wine a year. It's a huge producer, right?
It's about right. It's quite a big wine region, in fact, and it's funny enough, but it's the oldest wine region in France. And people sometimes they don't really know that, but in fact, all the Romans, when they came from Italy, they started to settle a bit in Provence first, and then they kind of spread out, towards Rhone Valley, towards Bordeaux or Champagne. But that's why, in fact, you have to keep in mind that, in fact, Provence, it's the oldest wine region in France. And we started
the oldest wine region in France. And
Yeah.
This is a great slide because you really see how it's down in the really southeastern corner of France, bordering Italy, and warm climate, right? So
Exactly,
technically,
yes.
a big chunk of the south of France, is included in Provence, a large chunk of the south of France.
Exactly, yeah, correct. So that's southeast. We have some particularity around there. So that's why when in fact we talk about Provence, there is a lot of things, there is a lot of parameters that makes Provence unique. And that's why in fact, Rosé, it's probably, first it's the birthplace of the Rosé, obviously, but it's also a place where in fact, to make Rosé, it's the best situation. Because as Sam was mentioning, it's a warm weather during the day. So, it can be like California, but at night, it kind of cooled down. And that's really perfect for, the grapes kind of to ripe. So it means that, during the day, you get all this sun, you get really like a lot of warmth. And then during the night, in fact, the soil will bring back all this sun that you got during the day to put it back towards the vines during the night. So it's the perfect kind of terroir. And we have a slide after just maybe explaining a bit more when I say terroir, what is it? Sometimes when we talk terroir, I'm going to keep it really high level, but terroir for us, it's in fact a combination of 4 different things. The first one being in fact the soil. So a really particular like soil in Provence, 2 types of soil, really distinctive. One is under limestone, one is more like a crystalline schist soil. Then the climate, as we were talking, climate is really important. So all about, the warmth, the wind you can get, the humidity sometimes at night, all of this together make it like perfect climate for rosé. And of course, the people. So people, why? It's because obviously they have been there like for a long time, making wine for a long time as the others one region, and the know-how, after years and years, we saw the quality of the rosé being more and more qualitative. That's why now we are able, like in fact, to see 90 points plus rosé wine, when before rosé was kind of seen as not really a qualitative wine, more like a summer type wine. Now it's a wine first and foremost, and you probably see when you go on the restaurant, you start to see more and more rosé on the menu. So all of this together make it for us like the terroir, and terroir is really important, and the terroir is probably the best terroir we have in France to make rosé.
Nat, and maybe you guys could talk a little bit about, it being the capital of rosé in the world, a little bit about how rosé is actually made. So this is a slide that I thought was very interesting to see your process. And this is a particular process of making rosé. There are several different ways to make it. This is one of them.
Exactly. So that's a really good point, Sam. And that's one of the particularities of Provence. To make rosé, in fact, we use what we call a direct press method. So big picture, you have 3 methods in the world to make rosé. You have one, just you blend white and red and it becomes rosé. We don't do that. You have another one where you can in fact do a maceration. So it's like a bag tea. So you put your tea into the hot water. Depending on how long you are going to keep your bag into the hot water, then the color is going to be more or less darker.
Right. So, just to interject a second, what you're talking about is leaving the skins on the red wine grapes. How long you leave them on gives you the calibration or the degree to which that wine is darker pink or lighter pink.
Exactly.
And how many hours in these rosés? How many hours are the skins left in the juice?
So that's an important point, because in fact we don't really use this method, which for me it's called maceration. We use the direct press, and I'm going to explain you a bit better. You have some images. But what we do is, in fact, when September arrives, we need to harvest. So we go to the vines, we harvest, sometimes by hand, sometimes with machine, whatever, but we harvest at night. Why? It's because we want to keep this cool night. We want to keep all the components of the grapes, the freshness of the grapes during the night. And also it allows us to not use too much of energy as well to reduce the temperature. So we try also to be really respectful in terms of nature and, carbon footprint. So whatever, we put all these grapes into a press.
Mm-hmm.
And what is important is, in fact, in Provence, I was mentioning, we have Grenache, Cinsault, and Syrah. And those three grapes, they are all black grapes, in fact, with white pulp. So the juice that is gonna run, through the grapes, it's a white juice. So how we can get a tiny bit of color is to make sure like this juice running out of the grapes is gonna stay in contact a tiny bit with the actual skin of the grapes. So that's what we do. And what we do is we leave the grapes during like 2 to 3 hours into the press to do this short maceration before to start like the press. So then we do a really slow and gentle press to make sure, we keep all the organic components of the grapes, but we don't really do a maceration for hours like for red wine. So it's a 2 hours short maceration, then we press, the juice is running through the pipes, going to the tank, and then we start the whole fermentation aspect. So that's the main point of Provence. It's a direct press rosé, and that's why you get a beautiful like color pearl because of the grapes, how they are made and how they are pressed. Yeah.
We have a question from Mark. Do you destem or use whole clusters?
So most likely, in fact, we use the whole cluster. Some people, they do destem them, that's for sure. But in fact, we saw also that by having the whole cluster, it was also more efficient to drive, in fact, the juice out. So it's kind of, it helps to drive this. So we do whole cluster, yeah.
And we talked about 149 million or 150 million bottles of wine coming out of Provence. What's the size of the output of your wineries in Provence? How many cases of wine each year, for example?
Bob, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, on a global basis, Sam, or are you talking here in America, what we're importing?
No, globally, coming out of the production facility, how many cases of wine every year?
About 500,000 cases.
Right, wow.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of wine coming out of our estates. I mean, they're quite large estates. Berne is over 500 hectares. Chateau de Berne, another one we have, is quite large, and a few Ultimate is a little smaller, but these are really big estates. And in addition to that, like Champagne area, we also have long-term contracts with our neighbors, and we farm their land, we treat their vines, we harvest ourselves, and we probably have, I think it was last year, 52 partner growers where we handle their vines start to finish. Everything about them and their neighboring around our different estates as well. We've had to do that in order to keep up with the demand.
Let me take a pause now, and let's show a little video about Chateau de Berne, because I think it gives some real character and flavor to what you're describing as the land, the culture, and the operation. So let me share my screen and show you guys this video. Hold on 1 second.
So yeah, I'm gonna probably talk over it a bit, but we are gonna see, in fact, the estate that is just behind me. What you have to know with Chateau de Berne, it's in fact Chateau de Berne is not close to the sea as the other estate. It's a bit more inland, and you see it's under this limestone soil, which is probably 80% of Provence under limestone soil. But limestone gives this nice minerality to the wine, this nice acidity. So you will see with the two wines we are gonna try afterwards, you are gonna get this nice minerality, on the wine. So this is Chateau de Berne. It's up in the mountain. We're almost like 1,000 feet from the sea level. And this is really important because, in fact, that's how we get this nice ripeness on the grapes. This is the actual chateau. So Chateau de Berne is quite well known in France. It's the first wine tourism destination. In fact, it's not only a winery, it's also a place to go. We have 2 restaurants on site, and we will talk a bit more afterwards. We have a hotel, Rosé Chateau. We have a wine shop. We have a cellar. There is a lot of things you can do on the estate, and not just only taste wine. So maybe, Bob, you can.
Let's talk about that. That's a great point, Victor. I didn't know it was the first agritourism or wine tourism location, but it's absolutely beautiful. Let me show everybody a slide here that illustrates that. But Bob, tell us what's the story with the Chateau de Berne as a destination for hospitality.
Yeah, so Victor mentioned it's the #1 wine tourism destination in Provence. So Provence is becoming the Napa Valley, if you will, of France. And people are making pilgrimages. And one of the places you must see if you go to Provence is Chateau de Berne. Why? Chateau de Berne first has a 5-star Relay and Chateau property, boutique hotel, 30 rooms. So there's probably twice as many staff as there are guests at any one time. You're very pampered when you go to Chateau de Berne. So it's kept its 5-star rating over the last 10 years. There's a Saint-Monde spa, so you're pampered, massages. We have wine treatments, believe it or not. So you can get facials, massages, everything like that. We also host a number of businesses. There's a helicopter pad there, and you'll see senior executives fly into Chateau de Berne from Nice Airport, and they'll have their business conferences there. So we have business as well as tourism, lots of weddings. We also host concerts there. So it's a place where people can go, occasionally food trucks. So Chateau de Berne, very much a destination. Second big thing at Chateau de Berne is food. We have a Michelin star restaurant, and not only a normal Michelin star, but last year, Michelin Guide introduced a green star. There were 23 green stars given out in France. There are 600 Michelin star restaurants, but only 23 got a green star for organic and sustainable methods. Everything we do at Chateau de Berne is organic. There's no chemicals, there's no pesticides. All the produce served in the restaurant is sourced on site at Chateau de Berne and farmed at Chateau de Berne. So it's a really special place. Wonderful hiking trails. The people who did Whistler up in Canada came in and made hiking trails. And as you can see in the pictures and on the video, there's forest all around. So the environment is very much protected by forest, and make these beautiful wines.
Yeah, I think it's I'm dying to visit. It looks fabulous. And I did not know it's the #1 destination in Provence. I want to toggle to
500,000 visitors a year.
A different photo here. Bear with me a second. Let's see.
Nancy wants to go on the next trip, Sam.
Well, Nancy, I think we need to organize a group from Crush Wine XP to go, because it looks spectacular. I'm trying to find a particular photo. Yeah, it's this one. So let me show you guys real quick. I want to share my screen and show you a photo of that we briefly looked at the beginning, but this looks pretty heavenly to me.
Yeah, that's the hotel pool, Sam, looking back at the chateau. And you can see the architecture. It's Victor mentioned the Romans founded Chateau de Berne. It's actually along a road called the Aurelian Way. The Aurelian Way comes out of Italy and up through Provence and down into Spain. And if you go walking in the hills of Chateau de Berne, you can come across old Roman coins. You can find Roman pottery. It's still there from 2,000 years ago. And the architecture is Roman. You see the pediments, you see the square towers. Normally in France, you have round towers and round turrets on the top. Chateau de Berne has Roman Tuscan architecture, actually. And you see a lot of the Roman pediments, the squareness, and the square towers in front of you.
The other thing that I learned in prepping for our session this evening, Bob, was these are the kinds of towns that are in the Provence region. They're just, and these have sort of that same, a little bit of an Italian, you know, very Mediterranean in their architecture and their design.
Absolutely.
And very, very old. I mean, these must go back 1,000+ years.
Yeah, they're 1,000 years. And you can see, similar to almost any town in the hills of Italy, you know, when you build on slopes, you have a certain look and feel. And that's exactly the look and feel. In the north part of Provence, it's kind of the foothills of the Alps, you know, it's just the remaining parts. And you see these homes built on the hillsides and things, and the roads are narrow. It's just like being in Italy, with the narrow roads and the homes right on the road and the cobblestone streets. It's magical. I mean, all of Provence it's a magical place.
Yeah, no, it really is. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to jump into these three other wines. And we're starting with the Romance Chateau de Berne. We were just talking about Chateau de Berne. The Romance is that bottle there.
That's right.
I will put it up on screen momentarily. Very different than the Emotion, the one we tasted a few minutes ago. Super light and really has an elegant finesse. I mean, just a very subtle, you know, light bouquet, and then the flavor characteristics and the finish are just delightfully easy. And I don't know what the alcohol by volume is, but I think it's low. This is a very
about 12.5. Yeah, about 12.5%. This wine, you're right, Sam. You get the Grenache, you get that freshness coming through, but the nose to me is the giveaway. You know, it's got this big, beautiful, fruity bouquet. You know, sometime when you sip wine, you have to stick your nose right in the glass. This one, you can keep the glass a few inches away from your nose and you'll still pick it up. A lovely bouquet, freshness, crisp in your mouth, beautiful finish. This is our most popular wine in America. You know, when you go to the bar and say, I'll have a glass of Rosé, that's kind of what you're expecting. That's what you're hoping you get. So it's a great by the glass. It's great by the poolside, and pairs with all the things you'd expect a Rosé to pair with.
Yeah, this is it here, guys. 4 different grapes, you know, mostly the majority Grenache and Cinsault, but this is, man, what an elegant wine this is. I'm pairing with, and I wanted Victor's advice on the Emotion, but I got sidetracked. I have 4 cheeses here. I have a goat cheese, I've got a Gouda, a Camembert, and a Pecorino. The Pecorino is a little bit of a stretch, but this one I just tried with the Camembert, and it was a very nice pairing. It was a nice combination.
Yeah, you're right. And you will see also with the second rosé we are going to try from Chateau de Berne, the inspiration. I will probably go for a goat cheese, but for me, Romance, it's really like this, as Bob was mentioning, it's a pleasant, elegant wine. It's a well-balanced wine because you get this terroir, in fact, from Berne, which is limestone, and you get this nice minerality of the wine. But at the same time, you have a bit of Grenache that brings back a bit of structure, and then a nice blend with Cinsault, Syrah, and Merlot that brings this aromatic note. So it's a really pleasant wine. It's a beautiful bottle with a glass cork. So you can open it, reuse it on the beach. You will see also we have this exclusivity in Provence for this bottle. We call this bottle the bling bottle, but when in fact the bottle is full, you don't really see the effect exactly. But when it's starting like to be half drunk, you start to see this kind of dimple like inside the bottle. So a lot of people reuse those as a water carafe, you know. So Sam, it's a nice packaging, let's say.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. I will say I am dying to try it with you guys. Have a pairing suggestion of either Szechuan chicken or Mexican food, and so one of my recent interests has been coming up with 5 great wine pairings with just Chinese takeout. So whether it's Szechuan chicken or sesame noodles or what have you, and this wine's got the elegance but enough acidity and refreshing character to go with a spicy food, which is kind of cool.
That's right.
So all right, should we move to the Berne inspiration, which Victor just mentioned?
Yes. So this for us, it's probably like the flagship, in fact, of Chateau de Berne. So as you can see, and Bob mentioned a bit the architecture of the estate, and you have the picture behind me here. We have a square, I mean, we have 2 square towers. And in fact, the inspiration of the bottle is coming from the actual architecture of the estate. And we are the only producer in Provence doing rosé with a square bottle. So that's really the signature of Chateau de Berne, the square. It's in France, it's one of the, probably the top brand on the premium category, and people are always looking, oh, I want the square Berne, do you have it? So we really differentiate ourselves with the square bottle. Regarding the wine, for me, that's when you are looking for a Provence rosé, it's what a Provence rosé should be. It's really like a textbook Provençal rosé. It means that you get really the terroir of Berne. So it's pure limestone, pure minerality, brightness. At the same time, you have this crispiness, but also you get this grenache. And for us, like Provence rosé, grenache is like the backbone of the wine. So in inspiration, you have about like 50% of grenache, so even more grenache than the romance. So you will feel at the end, okay, I have a nice minerality to it. I have some nice, fruit forward, but it's more like on the floral type, but I get also this nice structure on my palate. So that's why for me, it's, yes, on the next slide.
The next one,
Sam.
Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Yep, inspiration.
Inspiration, yeah. So that's why for me, inspiration will be in a wine first and foremost, and that's a wine you should pair with food. It's not only a summer type rosé anymore. It's something that you should enjoy with food. Yeah, maybe Bob, you want to add some?
Well, I just think, yeah, you mentioned with food at the Michelin star restaurant, this is the wine we would be pairing up. We were quite honored last year in September. Wine Enthusiast came out with the top 100 wines of the year. And this, you're competing with great Cabernets and Barolos and wines from all over the world. This was the only Provence Rosé in the top 100. So one Provence Rosé made the top one Wine Enthusiast top 100, and it was Chateau de Berne Inspiration. So lots of 90-point scores, but singular, I mean, a very, very high quality and amazingly affordable. I mean, there are Provence Rosés that are $30, $40. This wine's about $20. And to get a 90-point wine for $20, I mean, that's great value for money. So this is one of my go-tos all the time. The other thing I love about this wine is when you gift it. It's a great gift. It looks great on the table when you bring it to a friend's house, when you go to Thanksgiving at your mother-in-law. That's the one you want to bring when you go over. It looks terrific on the table.
All right, so Bob, you just teed me up for my comment on this wine. This wine has a little bit more, it's got real body to it. It's got some real structure.
Texture. That's right.
And texture, and the mouthfeel is great. It's still smooth, but this is a much more powerful experience as a wine. And this wine, I would serve as the first wine at the Thanksgiving dinner with turkey.
Absolutely. In fact, we had the Californian chef, Wolfgang Puck, the owner of Spago's, does the Academy Award catering. And Wolfgang Puck last Thanksgiving said it's his favorite place to go, Chateau de Berne, favorite place in Provence. He used to work in Saint-Tropez. He worked at the Hôtel de Paris in Saint-Tropez. And he said, of all the places I go, is Chateau de Berne, and that's my go-to on Thanksgiving. That's what I put on the table with turkey. So, and he, he's from Austria. He trained as a chef in Provence, and that's his go-to wine. So great, thanks. I'm not going to argue.
I'm in good company. I had no idea that Wolfgang liked this for Thanksgiving, but I think this is a spectacular choice. And then you move on to a big Mack truck, California Zinfandel, to finish the meal. It's all good.
That's it.
All right, let's move over to Ultimate Provence, and specifically to we're going to do the Ultimate Provence selection. This one's actually called Ultimate Provence. And Bob, should we show the video of this?
Sure, if you got that teed up, Sam. Ultimate
Yeah.
Provence. I mean, we're going to leave the north of Provence, right? And we're going to drive south. We're going to drive all the way south to almost Saint-Tropez. And we're going to go right right across. There's a little mountain range, a little hill range that kind of protects Saint-Tropez and the rest. And right on the other side of these, there it is. Those are the hills. And right on the other side is Ultimate Provence. On the other side of those hills is the Bay of Saint-Tropez, where probably one of the sexiest and prettiest cities on earth. And what is Ultimate Provence? Ultimate Provence, we wanted to create a place that was unpretentious, very accessible, a place where people would want to go and have fun. So rather than elegant and classic and timely, all the things that Chateau de Berne is and is really great at, Ultimate Provence is a place you go to have fun. When you're up all day or up all night, and up, UP, Ultimate Provence, this wine is the wine from Ultimate Provence. So we also have an Asian French fusion restaurant. So Asian French fusion, 30-room boutique hotel, 4-star hotel, really trendy like a W. You can see all the winemaking. You actually walk through the storage tanks, the stainless steel storage tanks, in order to get into the hotel reception. So we've taken the back of house, things you normally hide in a winery, and we've put them right up in the front. So you walk through them to get in. Amazing tasting rooms, and we have Provence's only cocktail bar. So it's a rosé cocktail bar, 200-seat restaurant, and there's a little piazza there with a big screen, and they show French black and white movies on the weekend, and people go hang out. Techno music plays at night. I mean, it's really the place to be. People actually leave Saint-Tropez and come to Ultimate Provence to hang out and party and have a good time. So this wine, I will leave to Victor to describe, but it's an amazing experience, totally different than Chateau de Berne. Really lively and fun and exciting. Victor, you want to tell them a bit about the wine?
Yeah, and while he does that, I'm going to show a couple of shots here, Bob, of the winery, because you really do bring the production experience into the consumer visitor experience there, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, we want them to touch it and to feel it and have fun. I mean, wine should be fun. Come on, it's rosé. You're there to have fun. We're not there to be pretentious and stuffy, and
exactly.
It's about fun.
So yeah, so tell us about this wine, Victor. This is, even just tasting it and smelling it, it feels fun. It feels lighthearted. It doesn't feel too serious, but it's also delicious.
Yeah, so as Bob was saying, so we really went back to, south of Provence. And, I told you at the beginning, like 80% of Provence were under this limestone soil. Now, getting closer to the sea, we are in fact on a different type of soil, which we call schist. And in fact, this soil is pretty nice soil to grow the grape Syrah. So the main grapes of Ultimate Provence is the Syrah. Schist makes it like harder for the vines, for the roots to go deep. So they are kind of stressed. So they kind of, they start to kind of fight a bit more. So they get a bit more like bored, let's say. So for me, in fact, Ultimate Provence is still Provence wine. So meaning it's still going to be on this, it's going to be dry, it's going to be light. It's going to be quite aromatic. But because we use quite a bit of the Syrah, the main grapes of Ultimate Provence, you will feel that, in fact, you get this nice, spiciness to it, this white pepper type of aromas. So you have first, in fact, this rosé, summer, Provence type, but at the same time, you get this kind of more like full body rosé, which for me, it's really important because in the same way as inspiration, we want Ultimate Provence to not be seen as just a rosé wine. It's a wine. It's a 90+ wines, It's a good qualitative wine, and it's a rosé that you can drink all year round, meaning like you can have it during spring, you can have it during winter, you can have it during the summer, but that's a rosé that's more and more structured. It's more, like even I would say like it's for a non-rosé drinker, someone who is more like, to like red wines or stuff. Because of the Syrah lead, you get this pepper notes, spiciness to it. So really good wine as well to pair with some food, even food that has a bit, probably a bit stronger. So you are mentioning some type of cheeses. You can go with a stronger cheeses for sure. It will probably pair well because you get this, body from the Syrah. So that's Ultimate Provence. You're on mute, Bob. Sorry. Maybe if you want to, you're on mute, Bob.
I was saying this is the one you can have, Sam, with pecorino. It's great also with sushi. The chef at Ultimate Provence makes a chicken Thai curry with this. It's just out of this world. Funny, the rock star Post Malone was in Provence in September, and this is the place he wanted to hang out. And he was loving this place and just chilling at Ultimate Provence. It's just a really fun place with great wine. And Victor mentioned the scores. We just got the new vintage score from Somm Journal. So it's scored all by Somms, and it had 94 points. It's the highest rating it's ever got. We just got the score back today for the new vintage.
Of all four wines, this is your casual, fun, like don't make it fancy wine. Of all four wines, this is the one with the highest score. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. You're right. But I think Victor mentioned, there's a lot of Grenache-led rosés in Provence. You can, if you drink rosé regularly, 80% of them are Grenache-led. There are very few Syrah-leds. And Syrah is a red grape with a white pulp. People are used to the Australian Shiraz. Mm-hmm. And so, when you drink this, guys who say, I don't drink rosé, or, they drink the brown liquors, they'll like this. It's got the texture, it's got the bite, it's got the spicy notes, it's got the things to occupy your palate and have a little action. Someone's asking about the roll grape. Victor, maybe you could tell them about roll and its Italian heritage and how it got to France. And roll is really what makes this beautiful as well.
So I'm glad, because I see, Barbara, you are kind of following really good the session tonight. So thank you for the question, because it's a good question. And I think it's also the uniqueness, in fact, of Ultimate Provence. So if I go back to the blend, so we are mentioning Syrah, Grenache, Cinsault, that are probably the main grapes. You bring like this, as Bob was mentioning, like the full body type of things with the Syrah. And in order to balance with all of this and also the terroir, we bring roll, and it's also known as Vermentino for Italian wines, but that's the same, that's a cuisine. And roll, it's a white grapes, and for me, it's just a tiny bit of the percentage of the blend. It could be like from 5 to 10%, but it's enough just to bring back a bit this brightness to the wine. This citrus aromas, this crispiness. So for me, it's a really good grape just to finish.
You get a nice finish. That's
it's the finish touch, and you bring back the structure, the brightness, and extra. So that's why, in fact, for me, Ultimate, I would get first still this minerality, this nice structure, this nice texture, the brightness, the crispiness, and then I get like the Syrah coming on the side of my tongue with a bit of structure. And I want to go back. I want to eat something with it. It's like this type of feelings that we're looking with Ultimate.
Yeah, now this one it surprised me, and I paired it. This might sound a little bit gauche, Victor, but I paired it with a smoked Gouda, and it was it was actually magical. It was great with the smoked Gouda, because it has so much personality that it can hold its own. It can hold its weight with the Gouda.
Sam, it's funny you said smoked Gouda because I was in San Francisco probably a year ago. No, sorry, it had to be 3 years ago before COVID. And I was at a restaurant called International Smoke. And they brought out smoked ribs and they take the cover off and the smoke's coming out. And we had smoked ribs, and this wine with the smoked ribs, it was still cleansing, it was still work, and ribs are heavy and pork and it was still doing its job and helping you digest and cleaning it out. So certainly with smoked Gouda, but even with smoked ribs, you can have it with a burger, a pizza, all those. It really can do that because of the Syrah. It has the tannins to
it's got the oomph, it's got the horsepower to do it. And
right.
If I leave everyone tonight with one or two thoughts, one of them would be Rosé is not just to go with goat cheese. You can, with certain ones like this one, you can pair it with things that have a lot of flavor. And then if you think about, I think it was the inspiration, which the guidance was, it will pair with, or was it romance? Which one goes with Szechuan chicken?
That was the romance.
Romance.
Right
I mean,
at the beginning. Yep.
Who would have thunk that a rosé would go with Szechuan chicken? Szechuan chicken has got a lot of spice, a lot of flavor. And so, the prevailing conventional wisdom is that rosé, either you just sip it by the pool or at the beach, or you have it with something very light, like salad or fruit or goat cheese. Well, guess what? Some of these will go great with much heartier and more full-bodied meals, which is really fun.
You're right, but the funnest thing to have with this bottle, with the inspiration, is you get one of those seafood towers. The three-level fruits de mer, with the shrimp and the clams and the oysters and the lobster and the cold fruits de mer. You do that. That is kicking. That's a great experience.
Well, the other thing for me that was an eye opener, Bob, tonight was the combination of I think it was the ultimate Provence with Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, we talked about inspiration with Thanksgiving, but ultimate as well. I mean, again, turkey breast and turkey thigh, when it's a different, that dark meat, you might appreciate the tannins and this to cut through that, and someone just said they want to try them all. Well, I think that's another good point. Rosé is like Cabernet, it's not one thing. As you experiment through different Cabernets, you start to learn what you like, and you get flavor profiles that you're enjoying, or Pinot Noir or something. Rosés is the same. There are times where it's light and easy and I'm on the deck and I just want something light and a sip and a cocktail, and I'm going to have the romance. There are other times when I'm having a meal and I want something else, and experimenting and having fun with it. That's great to do, and try it, and you'll find what you like. Not only with our estates, but with everybody's estate.
No,
it's good to experiment.
Absolutely. I think that for me, the big takeaway for tonight is how distinctive and different the bouquets, the aromatics, and the flavor profiles of these wines are. They're all pink and they're all rosé, and you sort of tend to pigeonhole those into one category, but they're extremely different in the way that they interact with flavor profile and food, which is really fun. And you guys should be commended for putting together an incredible portfolio of rosé. I'm also so glad, Bob, we've been working with you guys over the years. I'm so glad that the tariffs have been lifted.
Oh yeah, that was a little bit of stress. I mean, we've had 3 years with tariffs and COVID and people not getting out and can't go to restaurants. I mean, I'm so excited this year to be able to go out, enjoy. I know the restaurant. I've been on Long Island lately. I was just there yesterday, actually. And restaurants are excited. The people are coming out again. It's fun. And so Rosé is going to play a big part in Long Island, on the Cape, in Boston. Everybody wants to go out. It's going to be a fun year this year. I think we can have a little fun again. And God knows we need it. We need it. We need to lighten up and enjoy ourselves a bit.
Now, I know my team has been in touch, but I have to ask you just before I mention it, are you guys going to be at Brooklyn Crush in May?
We will be. We're going to be at North Fork Crush and Brooklyn Crush. We'll be serving these 4 wines. So yeah, I hope some of the people on this call can come out and see us and try a few of them.
Yeah, if anybody is planning to be within striking distance of New York City and Brooklyn, I'm going to put in the chat the URL. But come on down, join us at Brooklyn Crush, and you know, Jan, you can taste all 4 of these wines. You can sample all 4 of them and a whole bunch of other ones and some great food at Brooklyn Crush on May 7th. That's a really fun, kind of iconic event. Actually, it's a mashup of a wine festival and artisanal foods from Brooklyn and beyond. So and
we're going to try to get Victor down there too to be tasting with people. Victor live and in person. Yeah.
Victor brings the French authenticity which we crave for talking about rosé in Provence. So, well, guys, thank you so much for doing this. I finished all of my samples here, and I polished off the cheese too. So something's working.
That's good, Sam. You're going to need to buy one of these markers. You know, I've been marking the glass so I can remember which wine is in. When you start getting 4 wines in 4 glasses, you need to buy one of these wine markers. So
I got to get, Bob, I'm going to call you. I got to get one of those.
Yeah, they're great.
Because I was mixing up the inspiration with the romance, which you should never do. But thank you so much for doing this. You never know. Yeah. Exactly. It's wonderful hanging out with you guys. By the way, for everybody watching, this is the 2nd time we've had Bob on in the height of the pandemic, when everything was just shut down. Bob and I did a Provence Rosé group tasting just like this, and it was for me, it was a great release just from all the craziness that was happening. So thank you, Bob, for all of your collaboration and your partnership. And Victor, it's great having you be a part of this one, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully in May, if you get a chance to come to Brooklyn. And for all of those who watched, thank you for tuning in. We will be back not next week, but the week of April 20th. We've got Lakewood Vineyards, which is a world-class, award-winning winery from the Finger Lakes, and we're going to do a session like this with 4 amazing wines from Lakewood Vineyards. So join us April 20th, and there's more to come after that. So thank you, Bob and Victor.
It's our pleasure. Thanks for having us, Sam. We really enjoy it anytime.
Absolutely. And you know what? I got to get over to the Chateau.
You have an invitation. Be my guest.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Be safe, and we will see you very soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care now.
Bye-bye.